Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Davina. And today we have Amber Johnson. Amber Johnson is the creator of the B.E.E channel, where she's on a mission to bless, edify, and encourage others to live their best lives. As a blogger and podcaster, Amber shares meaningful conversations on faith, grief, caregiving, and relationships. So, hopefully, in this episode, we'll get to know Amber and she'll open up about her deeply personal journey of caring for her father after his stroke and walking through grief after his passing. So, through it all, and I love this, Amber continues to share and shine the love, light, and hope of God through everything that she's doing. So I'm so excited that Amber is here to join us today. Welcome, Amber, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm glad that you're able to join us. Well, Amber is absolutely amazing. I had the opportunity to meet her a few months back, and Amber is just a joy, a light, and what you see is what you get. She is a beautiful person inside and out, and I would love for you all to get to know her a little bit more. So, Amber, can you share a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you?
Yes, my name is Amber. I'm from Philly. I'm 35, and I love to blog and podcast and just talk about things that are going on in my life and just share the journey and what I'm learning about different things. And I love to talk about music. I love to like showcase people that I find that I feel like they're encouraging, or it was like something that was impactful. That's something I like to do a lot on my page because sometimes you can have your social media and then just like just posting stuff about yourself. But I like to like use my stories like that, or my YouTube like community tab. And I'm like, hey, I really enjoyed this. Or I think this would be helpful to somebody. I try to share that kind of stuff.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that, you're not just self-reflecting, but your goal is to really help others and to let them know that to keep shining in love, light, and hope within your faith. So, can you tell us a little bit about the heart behind the B channel? I know you shared just a little bit about things that you share on social media, but can you share a little bit more about what inspired you to create a space that's focused on blessing, edifying, and encouraging others?
I think that initially what happened was I was talking about my weight loss journey back in 2016. I had lost like 100 pounds, and I had friends and stuff. They were like, why don't you like put out some videos and share like how you did it, or share tips and stuff about how you did it. So I was like, originally that's what I was doing, just talking about that and what I learned from that journey, and sharing what it was like and what I went through and things that worked for me. And then when 2020 came about, I kind of went on a pivot because I joined TikTok, and I was like, I felt like it was just so many people that around me that seemed like they were going through depression or some type of mental health thing. And I just felt like the world could use some more encouragement. So that was like my thing, to just reach out and encourage people. And if I saw people like I was saying before, I like to share people that like they can sing, or they can play an instrument, or they can produce. I would share that kind of stuff. I would share poetry. I would do duets and that kind of thing. And now it's kind of pivoted to more like, okay, this is what I'm learning about faith. This is what I'm learning about relationships. Like I was saying, just the journey about grieving, what that's like, what caregiving was like. I'll share books that I like to read, like I review books. That's something I've done in the past. So it's just so many different things. But the whole point is to just encourage based on the wisdom that I've gained in my life.
That's beautiful. I love the fact that your goal is to really encourage and lift others up. I believe in this world, we don't have enough of that. And to know that you're focused in on helping others when you can is absolutely beautiful. So thank you for just, being available to do that, for sharing, just positivity in this world that we live in. Sometimes, especially on social media, it's a lot of negativity, but you are shining your light to encourage others, which I absolutely love. And it's not just like one or two things, like you are consistent. You do poetry, you share books, you share so many different things to help people get through what they're going through, which I absolutely love. So thank you for doing that. So I know that You shared openly about your caregiving journey in the past with your father. What was it like caring for your father after his stroke? And can you just share a little bit more about how it impacted you personally and spiritually?
So the journey started back like circa 2012, 2013, when he initially had something called a transient ischemic attack, or a TIA, or a mini stroke. And what happens is it's like your brain is like under attack. It's a lack of circulation, a lack of blood flow. And what people need to know about strokes is that an irregular heartbeat called AFib is what caused him to have the strokes, and we didn't know that at the time. If you can, make sure you get checked out if you or a loved one have a irregular heartbeat called AFib. That's very important. And so with him, he got better. Like, he had the strokes, the mini strokes and things, and he got better, and he was, walking up and around and everything like that. And then, like, in 2017, he got hit by a car. So that exacerbated everything, and he became bedbound. And we had to take care of him for like the last 7 years. That was what we were doing. Me and my mom, we took care of him. So that was really a trying time, because it made me have to be less selfless and to think about him and what he needed. A lot of times that meant I had to put myself on the back burner. I had to make sure I was showing up for my mom too and support her through everything that we went through. It was a lot, but one thing that was constant, I knew I had to at least put on some praise and worship music. I had to have my devotionals, like have some type of quiet time in a Bible app or something. I had to read some email blogs. I had to watch a podcast, something. And when you're a caregiver, your life is basically lived in the margins. So you have to really be intentional about doing things that can help you to feel like yourself, or help you to feel some type of joy. Those things was really important. And now, in this stage of grief, because he unfortunately passed October 9th. So it's just been like about 8 months at this point, a little over 8 months at this point since I lost him. And so that's been another roller coaster. And now I'm like having to relearn, who am I without the caregiving, and learning to advocate for myself. And instead of like, because we were primarily focused on advocating for him a whole bunch. So now it's like, okay, how do we reclaim our lives now? What does that look like? Who are we? What do we want to do? So this is a whole another journey. And so that's kind of the gist of how that went down.
You bring up really good points because caregiving is tough. And there's so many people out there that care for loved ones. And it's tough because, you do lose a part of yourself because you're so focused on that loved one and making sure that loved one is okay. So to kind of reflect and kind of reclaim and figure out who you are and where you're going, like you said, is another journey that you're on. It sounds like, the stress of caring for a loved one can be pretty intense. It can be pretty intense, long hours, a lot of stress. But the one thing you said that I picked up on and I absolutely love was that you didn't lose your faith. Through it all, you were grounded in scriptures, you were grounded in praise and worship, which is my absolute favorite. I love praise and worship and music to get through moments when maybe you just didn't understand, or they were tough, or maybe in various circumstances or emotions that you were going through. So I picked up on those things that you used to get through those tough times that you were going through, which I think is excellent to do.
Yes. And that was like another thing that was pivotal, is that it's funny how life works, because a lot of the times, like, you'll stockpile things, but you don't even know what you're stockpiling it for. Like, for me, I would have these blog devotionals that I would get subscriptions for. And they would email it to me, and I had all this stuff. I'm just now getting to a lot of it was email devotionals, but I had saved them up from like years back. Like, sometimes it was like a decade back. I had all these emails read, but that's something to focus on now in this slower season. And then in those margins, I would just like focus on all of that stuff, like make sure I had a steady playlist of things that I can watch that can encourage me me. I keep like a ongoing playlist of different just new gospel songs or whatever kind of music that I want to listen to, something to uplift me or just make me feel good. Or it's kind of an escape sometimes. That's what music can be. It takes you to a whole nother place. So it's like those things, like just or having your favorite show that you can binge watch, and something that me and my mom we do, or go out to eat. You have to have those things. And also therapy, bereavement counseling, support groups, that has been pivotal, all of that. So it's a lot that goes into like trying to figure out who are you now. You were in a certain place then where you had no choice, you had to survive. But now it's like, okay, now I'm trying to learn how to thrive again, like how to just get back out into the world. Because for so long I was in a bubble. Me and my mom were living in a bubble because first of all it was a pandemic, so we didn't want him to get sick. And so now it's like, all right, we can kind of like re-engage with certain family again and stuff like that. Because it's like you miss out on all that stuff when you're a caregiver. It's like, because it's either one of us can go or none of us can go. So it was kind of an awkward thing when you go to holidays. Like, oh, they would have to be like, how's she doing, or then she would bring me back a plate or something like that. So now it's like to be able to go to things again, and then you have these mixed feelings because it's like you want to feel guilty because that feels like the right thing to do. But it's like, I don't think he would want me to feel like that, just being like down all the time. So it's like it's a really mixed bag of just feelings about everything.
Yeah, that's tough to have those mixture of emotions, just trying to determine, how should you feel? And then you brought up a good point too, excuse me, about grief and guiltiness. Having that guilt kind of set in during different times or different seasons, different moments that you might be going through. And you know for sure sometimes in the back of your mind that this should be a good thing that you're able to go out and go to different events and do things, but you still have that sense of guilt in the back of your mind, which can be tough to kind of get through at points. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that because I know there are some people out there who maybe are going through some of the same things, have lost a loved one or have lost someone who they were caring for. And sometimes you do feel that sense of guilt that maybe you shouldn't be happy about some of the things that's going on when they're gone, but to kind of readjust and get through those moments through things that bring you joy, such as music or some of the things that Amber described, support groups, grief groups, therapy. Oh, goodness. I hope you guys wrote them down. Jotted them down, took a couple of notes because she went through a couple different things that I feel like are excellent to use and to try when you're going through those moments of stress and grief as well. So thank you, Amber, for sharing those. I was thinking that grief is such a layered experience. There's so many different things when you're going through grief, and I usually say no one can really share when you should grieve or how long you should grieve for. And it's just a process. It's your own individual journey. Can you share a little bit more about, and you shared some things that help you kind of get through your grieving process, and you're still kind of in it because he just passed. But can you share what your grieving process has looked like for you? And I know you mentioned a couple things that helped you get through. Well, what was one pivotal thing that you knew that you could go to at any point in time when you are feeling just not your best?
Well, one of the things that I like to do is I have a special journal and I write letters during milestones. So all these month anniversaries, we had a lot of milestones that passed. Like it would have been my parents would have been married for 40 years in April. So that was an important milestone. And just like all the things that happen where you want that person to be there, or it's like the first time without them. So I would just write my dad a letter as if he was still here and be like, hey, this is what's going on, or I miss you, or I'm thinking about you today, just to continue that conversation. And that's something that people have said have helped them a lot too in different support groups and things like that, to actually write a letter. And because sometimes you feel like they're gone, and so that the bond is gone, and it's that you don't have that anymore. But writing a letter is a way that you can feel connected to that person. And then just listening to music that he would have liked, that makes me feel happy. and just thinking about all the things that he deposited in me as a person. Like I say, my strong work ethic comes from him. My ability to encourage people, my knack for leadership, my knack for connecting people that I meet and I think they would be like-minded, just and just like loving music. All of that comes from him. So remembering what he left with me, that's like his legacy to me, his inheritance to me in that way. Making dog tags with their pictures, loved ones' pictures. That's what I have a bunch of them that I got made. I got for my grandmothers, my grandfather, and for him because it was two generations, my grandfather and my father. So I got dog tags with their pictures, and the dates on the back and say, a message. That's something special you can do. Just go on Etsy and get that made. Just like remembering them, always talking about them, and it's always funny how things just come to mind. Certain things make you think of them. It could be a smell, it could be a song, a movie. Maybe you got a piece of clothing you keep from them. Like just different things you can do to keep things going. And I'm trying to think about that as Father's Day comes up. We're recording this before Father's Day, so just trying to think about that. Like, what is it that I want to do to try to commemorate instead of being like I have to feel like I have to sulk all the time. Now, there's a time you're going to want to sulk if it's that first time. But maybe later on down the road, a few years from now, I might not feel like that. I might feel like, oh, let's go out to eat or let's go do this or something. So it's really learning what works for you and having boundaries in terms of saying like, I can't do that today, or I don't want to be around people today, or maybe I need to talk to somebody today, and just learning to be self-aware about your grief and how you feel, what triggers you, because certain things can be triggering. You're like, oh, I can't do that. Or maybe don't watch the sad movie about some parents or whatever, so certain things, or maybe it might help you. So everybody's grief journey is different, and that's something I'm learning too. There's no time limit. That's what people have been stressing to me, like, don't rush yourself, don't rush the journey, because then you're going to have to start all over again, or you're going to end up back where you don't want to be because you didn't fully process it, you didn't try to work through it fully. So that's something that I'm learning.
Yeah, oh my goodness. You said so many good points and that people can definitely draw from in regards to getting through grief. I love the fact that you write letters. That's beautiful. And it helps to get your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts out. So I encourage listeners, if that's something that you enjoy, and a lot of people do, they like to write, or it might be even record something, you talking. Those are all excellent ways to just get out your emotions, your thoughts to your loved one. So I love that you shared that. So, what message or encouragement would you offer to our listeners? There are so many people that's going through grief and, have lost a loved one, specifically this, um, with Father's Day coming around. What would you give to someone about just navigating the grief of losing a loved one? You mentioned so many positive things, but can you encourage someone today with just a message of hope, or ways that you may have felt in the past, but you want to just encourage them on their healing journey?
I think that it's so important that we don't slap spiritual platitudes and cliches on people in the midst of the grief, because in another time, right, when you're in a healthy place, you can receive things. But when you are in a sad place and you're feeling like it's just a lot of despair, all kind of feelings of anger, or you're feeling like lost, that's like the last thing you want to hear sometimes. So just like let people know, if you know somebody that's grieving, let them know that you're there for them. And don't just say like, if you call me if you need anything, because at the end of the day, they may not be able to say what they need, but just show up and just be there for that person. Or if it's a milestone or anniversary or a holiday that might be hard, hey, I'm thinking about you today, and that means so much to people that you even remember their days, whatever the day might be that might be hard for them, and not just like forgetting them after the first few months. It's so important to just reach out, and even in the midst of my own grief, the support groups have been really fulfilling for me, because I see it as an opportunity to reach out to those people in the group and encourage those people. And it's funny because sometimes something I say will actually be helpful, and they'll come back and say it like the next time. They'll be like, "Oh, I actually tried to do that. That was very helpful." They it's like it feels like we get closer as we go through the months of talking to each other. And that's the thing, like people are at different stages too, but they still might be feeling the same way. So that's important to understand about grief. Like it ebbs and flows. It's not like, oh, it's been a year, okay, I'm done with this. That's not how it works. Because it'll keep going, as you go through the birthdays and the anniversaries, you'll be feeling a certain type of way, and that's okay. So that's really important to understand about grief. It's okay to feel how you feel. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. But the whole point is like, okay, you're still breathing. So you got another shot, right? As long as you have breath, you have purpose. So that's something that's really pivotal to understand about the grief journey. Is like, just okay, maybe today you just got out of bed. Maybe another day you can go outside and take a walk. Maybe, you can call up a friend, because that's something that people don't understand too. You get exhausted. And that's something I never even expected about the journey. You get exhausted. So it's like, okay, especially after years of caregiving. So it's like all of a sudden you can sleep, and it's just like you get so exhausted and you're like, why? But that's something I understand. Like, okay, I'm not feeling up to the chores today, or I'm not feeling up to this, and not beating yourself up about where you are and how you feel in a particular day. And like, okay, all right, well, maybe today I zone out with a show. Maybe another day I can talk to somebody on the phone. Maybe this day I can, I want to go out to eat. So just the baby steps, progress, practice makes progress. That's how it goes with me.
Wow, that's really good. You shared so much about, like you said, baby steps and just getting through those moments. And I think a lot of people don't realize that just call me if you need me, or let me know if you need anything, or whatever it may be. But sometimes the individual that's grieving, they barely can like get through the moment, the day, the things that they're going through. So for individuals that know of someone who may be grieving, sometimes it could be a list of things that they may need or want, or just someone to be in their space during a certain time. But just check in with them periodically. I think from what Amber shared, that's what I got, to check in with them and just let them know that you're thinking about them and that you care. Sometimes it's just knowing that someone cares about me during a time where I'm going through something is so important, and it feels good to know that someone is thinking of you, that you're loved, that you're cared for. And it sounds like getting involved with your support group has made such a significant shift in your life. I can hear from what you're sharing that there's such growth that came about just being in the support group. It sounds like you have a supportive group of individuals that you can connect with, talk to, share things with. And it sounds like many of them, maybe can relate to and feel some of the same emotions that you're going through around the same time. Or you can provide tips and ideas, and they may provide tips and ideas to you, which can help you on your grief journey. And I truly believe
Yeah, because
that's beautiful. Go on.
Yeah, because some people are further along, so they might be 2 or 3 years out, and then I'm like one of the newbies. I'm less than a year into it, so it's like, oh, they're still feeling like this. That's normal. It's okay, and just also understanding that people need to understand, like, if you're grieving, it's like sometimes you feel anxious about, like, you don't want to keep bringing up the elephant in the room, even in your conversations with other people. You want to try to focus on them sometimes. And that's what my therapist had to let me know. She was like, you know what? Maybe you can say to the person, hey, I'm having a good day. I don't want to talk about it today. If that's okay with you, I don't want to talk about it. And don't so they don't feel like that's all they have to, like, that's all they can ask you. Like, you can talk about other things. Then if I want to, I need to I'm learning how to feel comfortable about saying I can talk about my dad. That's okay. It's not like a Debbie Downer moment, because sometimes I personally can feel like that as the person. And I'm like, I'm really one of those people. I feel like I don't want to put stuff on people. I try to be conscious of not dumping. So that's something that it's important to know for the person that's like trying to talk to somebody that's grieving. You might feel like you don't want to dump all the time. And so it's like, hey, do you have the bandwidth for that? That's like trying to like kind of read the room, get the temperature of the other person. Do they have room for this? Because I don't want to do that to them either. So I don't think everybody sees it like that, but me, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I kind of keep it over here, and then maybe I'll share a little bit, but I don't want to always be like, oh, that's all I'm bringing to you. So I've been extra aware of that as somebody who's going through it, and I never knew that was how you would feel, like grieving. Oh, So I'm aware of how other people might feel.
That's good. That's really good. So, I always think about and I wonder, you are pouring into others so much on your social media platforms and your channels. It sounds like in groups. It sounds like you are, kind of helping
Hmm.
others as well as going through, your grieving journey yourself. How do you protect your peace from others and maintain hope? I always often wonder, people may need help and it seems like you're always willing to be there and you want to help and support people. But how do you protect your peace and maintain the hope when you are just pouring into so many people in various areas?
One of the things that's helpful is that these I have two separate support groups that I'm in, and that's once a month. So it's not like I'm always talking to those people. Outside of that, we only talk in the space of the group. Then I'm like kind of careful about how much I put in a week because it lately, let's face it, it has been like weeks of different therapy and support groups. That's how it's been. Like that's kind of what I've been doing, trying to juggle all the things, right? And it's just like, whoa, this is a lot. So understanding what I can handle in a week. Maybe don't have more than 2 or 3 things going on in a week because otherwise that can be overwhelming. Because when you're used to doing stuff in the house or you're used to maybe not talking as much and then you like talk to all these people during the week, it's like, whoa. Understanding what I can handle in a week and also having limits on social media. Like, oh, it'll tell me to get off of there. I have it set. So like within like maybe a half an hour, it'll tell me to get off of there, or maybe 15 minutes, take a break, or this is your sleep time of the day. These hours, it'll like remind me. Of course, you can still get back in there. They got loopholes. It's not like you can't like go back, but the idea that, oh, maybe I need to take a break from this screen for a minute. Just and then like I don't like I'll reach out to people or like I'm trying to get back into calling people or maybe video chat more than just texting and instant messaging and emailing, but sometimes that can be hard. So it's just like knowing I can do this. Like my therapist said, maybe you could try to talk to somebody for 30 minutes. Stop feeling like it has to be like this hour or these 2 hours or whatever. So learning less is more. That's in a lot of ways in life right now in this season for me. So just learning like you don't have to be all or nothing with stuff. Like I can talk to people or like best friends, like even in terms of best friends, like people always think, oh, it gotta be every day. She brought that to my attention to my therapist. She was like, you just because somebody your best friend, don't mean you guys talk every day. You can talk to them like check in with them like every couple of weeks or something, or once a week, whatever works for you. But you don't have to like have these standards, these arbitrary things in your head, these narratives in your head about how things should be, and just keep communicating for clarity's sake so you can know what's going on in these different situations and different relationships. So that's something I definitely had to work on because boundaries, that's the name of the game. For that's what the whole social media thing is about too. Like, oh, cut back. Maybe you don't have this, you don't consume as much, unfollow, unsubscribe. So you can have a smaller, realm of people that's pouring into you all this extra information. So it's a whole bunch of stuff I'm having to learn about that. Like, oh, do I need that? Maybe I'll need to watch all that today. Maybe I'll do one thing. I don't have to, so it's a lot.
You know what? I agree. It can be a lot. Really enjoy that you mentioned how you separate things that you know can be overwhelming. You set limits, you have timers, you do so much to make sure that you are not overwhelming yourself. You maintain your peace while still maintaining your hope, which is good. Really good. So, I always wonder, people find strength in various ways to get through moments of stress, to get through just hard moments. When I was going through so much in my life, there were things that helped me to get through and, songs and different scriptures and things like that. Do you have anything that helped you to get through, such as a scripture or a song or words of affirmations that really reflect and go to all the time that help you get through just moments of stress, either in the past or currently?
Well, I think journaling, number one, that's a good practice to have. And I don't necessarily journal like full on. I might write like a few sentences. Either I'll journal to God or I'll just write something about what I learned about God. I will, if you have like Alexa or like a smart speaker or something that I do is I program her to say a scripture to me once a day and it'll repeat it twice. And so that's something like I got Isaiah 26:3 on there. You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. And I have it set up for her to be like Isaiah 26:3 in her too. That's how she do it. And so that's just at least twice a day. I'm gonna hear that, because it's gonna say it twice at 8 o'clock at night. It's gonna say it. So it's like Different things like that. Put you can put scriptures everywhere you have a background. Going into the Bible app, you can listen to the Bible, you can read the Bible, different things like that, and different translations that I might find helpful. So it's like you gotta find what works for you, like your like quiet time personality, basically. Like I call it spiritual oxygen time. I used to call it quiet time. It's like this is my time to get reinvigorated, rehearse, what God said about me, and I came up with so much stuff lately. Like, oh, the Bible was like your polygraph test for the devil, so you can know the receipts about what's really true. And so it's just so many different ways to think about it. But anyway, the whole point is you have to really keep that word in you, like immerse yourself in it. Even if it's a few scriptures a day. Nobody say you had to read like whole chapters and whole books or whatever, but just immersing yourself in the word in some way, shape, or form. Songs that have scriptures in it that can be helpful. And I like people that like really work on that. Like if you listen to Fred Hammond, a lot of his songs are based on scriptures. If you listen to the Clark sisters, some of their songs are based off of scriptures. And then it's kind of good for your brain because you can say, oh, that's from that book, like example, Clark sisters, My Redeemer Liveth. They talk about Job. They talk about Job 13:15. They talk about Job 19:25. They talk about Isaiah 40. So just different things. The songs is a way to get it ingrained in you, right? And you don't even realize it. It's just happening. So different little tactics like that can be really helpful. Hang stuff up in your space. Like I went and got this from Hobby Lobby. It has a scripture on it, Psalm 143:8. So just like little stuff, keep stuff around. And that's how you keep it in you.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you said spiritual oxygen. I'm going to use that because it's so true. Getting the word in you is honestly in the music and the praise and worship, all that is spiritual oxygen to keep you revived and to keep you going. I absolutely love that term and I will I will use it. So thank you, Amber.
Yes. Go in the bathroom and have a jam session with Alexa. It'll get you together because sometimes you don't feel like it. And then like maybe while you're doing the laundry, turn to Alexa and be like, oh, play my favorite song. And then, you feeling down, that song just might lift you up and you'll be feeling better, even if it's only for a minute, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree with you. It does shift my perspective as well. As soon as I turn on encouraging music, I usually do praise and worship. One of my favorites is Naomi Rain. I love Naomi Rain.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. The song Okay. That song.
it's so
I had that on
many.
so many times.
She's absolutely amazing. So Naomi Rain, and it's so many different ones, but she's one of my favorites right now in this season. Yeah, just turning her on, it does something. It shifts something in the atmosphere and within me. So yes, I totally agree with
Yes.
you and can relate. So if anyone
Yes.
wanted to get in contact with you, how would they reach you?
You can find me at B Channel 27 over on Instagram. That's one of the easiest places to find me. But I also have a WordPress blog. I'm on Substack and I have a blog over there. Basically, I just post what I put on WordPress over there. And it's a fun place to be. I like Substack. LinkedIn, I have a YouTube, and I'm on Instagram, like I said. So those are some of the places I got, the blog, the podcast is on Spotify and Amazon and Apple and all the places. So yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a joy to have you on. I love the fact that you kept it real. You shared really some specific, concrete examples of what people could do to get through their grieving journey, moments of stress, and to stay encouraged. So, you all, if you need to stay encouraged, Amber is such a great person to get to know, to connect with, to follow. So, definitely check her out and be encouraged, stay encouraged through whatever you may be going through. And if you are interested in connecting with a caring voice for you, just opportunities to talk to someone if you're going through stress, loneliness, grief, or anything in between, a separation, divorce, please reach out to us at caringvoiceforyou.com to schedule a time to talk or to learn more. And until next time, everyone, take care.